G'day guys, thanks for listening to the NOOBSPEARO podcast today and joining the illustrious Turbo and I in studio. Now, I don't know about you, but I love to save money on spearfishing equipment. When I want to buy a spear gun, there's nothing I like better than saving $20. That's right, you can use the code NOOBSPEARO at spearfishing.com.au to save $20 on all purchases over $200. You can also visit Adreno in their physical stores in Melbourne, Sydney or Brisbane. Check out a huge range of equipment and get advice from more than 60 underwater equipment experts. That's right, support the NOOBSPEARO podcast by shopping with our sponsor, spearfishing.com.au, and thank you for joining us today. G'day guys, welcome to today's NOOBSPEARO podcast. If you've been listening for a long time or you're just joining us today, thanks for tuning in and listening to our show. Now today we've got a 101 where Turbo and I basically do a deep dive into one specific topic. Now this is sort of slightly out of the ordinary because normally we're just interviewing people from all over the world, but today is a deep dive into how to increase your bottom time basically. So we've got 6 tips. It's probably slightly more than that, but they're probably not quite what you're thinking, so stick around and listen in for that. Before we get started, I've got a few announcements. Now, NOOBSPEARO's podcast, our major sponsor, Adreno at spearfishing.com.au, have got their Easter sale starting. That starts on the 25th of March, and they've got a huge range of equipment, and it's already normally a good price. With the Easter sale, it's absolutely unbelievable, some of the deals you can pick up. You can still use the code NOOBSPEARO and save another $20 on all purchases over $200. So head over to spearfishing.com.au and take advantage of that. Now also, we picked up Speared Apparel as a sponsor for the last 3 episodes of the NOOBSPEARO podcast. Aaron Chase over there at Speared organised a code just for you guys. It's save 10% by pumping in the code NOOBERS at checkout over at spearedapparel.com. They jumped on for 3 episodes just to support us, and I really appreciate that, so thanks for joining us guys. So yeah, spearedapparel.com, go and pump in the code NOOBERS to save some cash on all sorts of things over there. Apparel, the Novo wetsuit, get in, have a look. All right, next bunch of announcements. The World Freshwater Spearfishing Champs are on over in Lake Mead in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, you can find out a little bit more about them at freshwaterworlds.com. They've also got a Facebook page. I've got some details here. Mike Maguire was helping to organise the event. He's going to join us for an interview shortly on the show, hopefully. But the event's held on May the 18th and 19th. Like I said, in Lake Mead, Las Vegas, and there's some really good feedback about this event. Some of the Hawaiian guys who you think probably dive some of the most pristine water in the world rant and rave about how awesome it is. One guy says, Lake Mead is probably the most beautiful lake you could possibly spearfish in. Shallow reefs with gravel bars, drop-offs, deep pinnacles, etc. Crystal clear water, and depending on the season, not to mention huge striped bass. He says, being from Hawaii, we dream of diving in Lake Mead. And he was sort of shooting down this guy that was criticising freshwater spearfishing. Now, we've also interviewed Rob Gates, who was a prolific freshwater spearo, and it's not to be taken lightly. It's a legitimate sport, so check them out at freshwaterworlds.com. All right, next bunch of announcements. We had a bunch of shout-outs from guys, so I'll hook into them. So I had one shout out from a guy, Johnny Riggs on Facebook, who just said he's heading down to Destin, Fort Walton next month in Florida, and he was asked for a bit of advice. I pointed him in hopefully the right direction, so cheers for that, Johnny. Gypsy Spearo on Insta shouted out to Turbo. He said, hey lads, picked up the sport 2 years ago, and for the first year you were my only Spearo mates. Taught me so much, especially the ethics. Still a noob and awkward as all F. But the little development I've made, I attribute 30% to the podcast. Much respect. It's so funny too. You do an amazing job of it. Slaved my guts out the past year chasing bluefin off the trailer boat. Finally cracked it on Friday off home waters in Victoria. Ecstasy and relief. Don't stop your good work representing for noobs. So cheers to that, Gypsy Spearo. It's a mad little write-up you did for us. Last shout out was from Sven Franklin. He writes in, hey Shrek, just wanted to say I love the podcast. Listen to every episode and you guys have helped me learn heaps in no time at all. He said he was listening to episode 50 while he was typing the email. He said, started being a spearer at the start of the year and have come a long way with a lot of help from you guys and from the club I joined called Club Spearfish in Melbourne. And I got me a mentor. Don't mistake me though, I'm a Kiwi living over here too. And he had a recommendation for a guest we should interview and send in a pic as well, which we always love. So thanks for that, Sven Franklin down there in Melbourne. Awesome, bro. Good to hear you hitting some fish and having a ball of it. So anyway, without further ado, we're going to get into today's episode, 6 tips to increase your bottom time with the illustrious Turbo and yours truly.
G'day and welcome to today's episode of the NOOBSPEARO. It's a one-on-one. It's a one-on-one. It's a one-on-one with
one-on-one with you, our intimate listener.
All right, but it's a 101 episode. And go on, take over. Go on, take over.
And we just want to get one-on-one with you to help you improve your bottom time. This is based on a blog post that mostly Turbo wrote, and I helped out a little bit apparently. So
I can see what you've done here. You've gone down here and you've sabotaged me in the end. It's just typical Shrek.
The blog post is called 6 Actionable Tips to Increase Your Bottom Time. Turbo hated the title, so he just called it 6 Tips to Increase Your Bottom Time. So anyway, here's some practical information to help get you down and improve your spearfishing. Now, a lot of guys think that improving their bottom time is this magic formula where you learn this special breathing technique. All of a sudden, you're like abracadabra and Houdini, you land on the bottom and you hold your breath for 5 minutes. Unfortunately, spearfishing is not like that. It takes quite a number of years for guys to get down at depth and start holding some of these big bottom times that we witness on YouTube. And so this blog post is more written about just small practical things that you can do to just slowly improve your bottom time. And so with that note, Turbo, you want to get started?
All right. Tip number 1 of the 6 tips to increase your bottom time. Tip number 1, relax.
Yeah?
You relax, mate. So, all right. Just relax. You've lost it. All right. So, you're heading out in the boat. Relaxation before you get in the water is very, very important. Gets the heart rate down, gets your head in the game. So, what you can start doing there is a few breathing techniques on the way out. So, full deep breaths as if you're doing a breathe up in the water. So, do that before you actually get in the boat. That's quite important. Shrek, what do you do besides breathing up? You do a bit of yoga sometimes?
Don't try and get my joke. I do like doing some stretches. Your big muscle groups that you're going to flog all day if you're doing a full day's diving, it's great to stretch them out. Get those hammies fully stretched out and your calves particularly. Getting some movement in your ankles and your knees are a good idea because you're going to be using them all day and depending on them. Get the blood flow going and get relaxed is good. So that's 2 things I like to do on the way out.
In the water. So in the water, one of the things we like to do is we drift dive. So we always have a good boatie. He's on the lookout, so you feel more comfortable in the water. He can plan those drifts for you, and so you're not finning against current. Because as soon as you're finning against current, you get that heart rate up. Your bottom time goes out the window. So that's really, really important. Another big one for me is having a good dive buddy that's going to watch you, particularly if you're pushing depth. I really like having a dive buddy that's going to watch me. I feel way more comfortable knowing that if something goes wrong, somebody's going to pull me out. That's going to be basically a non-event, and I'm not going to die. Yeah. So that's a huge one for me. Another big one, and I think it was in our buddy protocol post as well. Another thing that keeps you relaxed is knowing that your dive buddy is not going to go and snake your fish while you're in your breathe up.
Yeah.
Because I often like to shut my eyes during the breathe up. Get Manny Bobber talked about going almost asleep on the surface.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And so if you're always thinking about your dive buddy going off and snaking your fish while you're doing it, you're not going to relax properly. So
yeah, that's true.
So it's important to be a good dive buddy, and it's important to have a good dive buddy with you watching you.
Sometimes when you're spearfishing too, you're super excited and you're sitting there on the surface thinking about getting down the bottom and shooting that next fish that you saw on your last dive. You're doing your best to sort of hold out and hold, a decent amount of surface interval so you're rested. Yeah. But another thing you can do, close your eyes like Turbo said, but also just focus on releasing all the muscle tension. Because if you're holding muscles like taut, which you do when you're excited, it's you're actually consuming oxygen there on the surface. You're not going to be as relaxed when you finally do take that dive.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing too, I know is if Shrek's doing his breathe up or whatever, I often like just to, on the surface, just put my hand on the back of his head and just sort of stroke the back of his head like that. He just goes into a nice sort of deep meditation.
It is relaxing too until your hand starts wandering.
Oh, mate.
And then
I'm only human. Yeah. It's quite a figure you've got. All right.
Tip number 2. Well, this is another one you can do at the surface. And I mean, this might sound funny because we're talking about all the things you can do before you get in the water. I mean, you're at the surface, you're not even diving yet. But these are the things that will make a difference to you on the bottom. And the next tip's exactly like that. And it's pre-equalizing. So you're laying there on the surface, you've let all your muscle tension go, holding your breath. Pre-equalizing will mean that you don't have to reach up to equalize straight after your duck dive. Quite often you can get quite a way down before you're reaching up to equalize. So, yeah, I found that one a massive one for me.
That's the beauty. That becomes a reflex after a while, so it's important that you practice that, and then it becomes a reflex. You don't have to think about it. Tip number 3, duck dive super smooth. Oh, how important is this? I remember when we did our not our freediving course, but our freediving training with Wayne Judge, he emphasised in a dive pool how important the duck dive was, and he sort of showed us, I think in a 4-metre pool, good duck dive technique without any arms, without any kicking, just how far we could get ourselves by improving that duck dive. And it was absolutely phenomenal. So basically what you're getting out of a good duck dive is 3 metres on less energy.
Yeah.
And that is really, really important. It's something to practice in a pool, something to practice with a buddy, and just get those legs up nice and high, nice and straight, bend from the waist, and away you go. You can definitely feel it. I know sometimes when there's a bit of swell or whatever, you can sort of get knocked a little bit when you start your duck dive. And so it's important to kind of keep that in mind, and I sort of face myself a certain way if I can when I'm doing a duck dive, so that it's nice and straight and get those 3 metres at the start.
And a couple of kicks along the surface before you bend and go, and all that energy transfers down, and you get down 5 or 6 metres without kicking at all. And like you say, 3 metres, I like that.
Shrek, my diving of late has improved out of sight, and do you know why?
No.
Because I picked myself up a copy of 99 Tips to Get Better at Spearfishing.
Wow. Is that why your hunting techniques have improved as well?
Not just my hunting techniques, my freediving, my breath hold, and my awareness.
Wow. You really are a Spearo 2.0.
Yes, that's right. I really am a Spearo 2.0, as per Chapter 7, I believe. Spearo 2.0.
And it's all thanks to
99 Tips to Get Better at Spearfishing. Now, where did I find it, you ask?
On Amazon.com.
That's right. So get on Amazon.com and check it out. But in all seriousness, it's a great book compiled from over 40 contributors. Absolutely fantastic, and you will improve your diving, guaranteed, if you read that book.
There's tips there from legends like Rob Allen and Chris Coates out of South Africa to Simon Tripp and some other Aussie guys.
Lots of Aussie guys. I think there might even be some New Zealanders in there. Dwayne Herbert,
Darren Shields. We've got Cameron Kirkconnell.
A couple from myself there. I put myself in that same league.
Yeah,
so
look, Turbo's ones, we glazed over them. And look, I often took 10 of Turbo's tips and punched them into one, so you get good value for money. Find it cheap on Amazon.com, 99 Tips to Get Better at Spearfishing.
Guys, spearfishing is all about self-improvement. It's about practice, time in the water, and getting better, holding your breath longer. But you know what? Sometimes you can buy a piece of equipment that really lifts your game, and that is a good set of fins. Now, good set of fins, what does it do? It makes you more efficient in the water. They are more reactive. You get more bang for your buck in terms of energy in versus energy out. And the best fins, the fins that we love the most, that are not only super reactive and super efficient, but really strong and are going to last years on your feet, are the Penetrator range. So get over to penetratorfins.com and check out their full range of composite and carbon fibre blades. On top of that, we now have a code for you guys to save $20 off your next set of Penetrator blades. So pump that code in, NOOBSPEARO, at checkout, and you'll save $20 off. Add to that, Penetrator is now offering a flat rate international shipping of $25 for you, the NOOBSPEARO listener, and even more, a full international warranty. So get in there now, check out all the great designs, and get yourself a set of Penetrator blades.
Tip number 4, streamlining. Now, streamlining, there's bulk to streamlining, and competitive freedivers, they spend hours and hours analysing, how they can streamline better. We're spearfishermen, we don't go to that extreme, but there's a few sort of big macro ones that you can work on. One is your profile in the water, and Turbo, you were talking earlier about head position. How big was head position when you sort of discovered that?
Yeah, huge. So Naturally, what you're inclined to do when you start spearfishing is to have your head up, almost at sort of a 90-degree angle to the body, so that you're scanning up with your neck sort of cocked up, and that's terrible streamlining. That just catches all that water on the way down like a sail and slows you right down and makes you inefficient. So what you need to do, and once again this has come from our good mate Wayne Judge, is to tuck that head into the chest as low as you can go, but still comfortable, and get your arms in nice and close to the body, and your kicking's got to be streamlined as well. So you want to keep the kicking within the profile of your body, so not big wide sweeping arcs, because every time those knees come out, they start dragging water. So that's really, really important. And I was telling you before, one of the things we did in the pool with Wayne was he got us to swim along with our heads up, and you could feel it as you're finning, how much pressure and how slow you were, and then got us to tuck our heads in and swim along the bottom of the pool, and it was night and day. And if you're doing that over 30, 40 dives during a day, it really takes its toll. You know what I mean? It's a big advantage to get that streamlining right.
Another one a lot of guys do, especially when they're starting out, is when you go to equalise, they're putting their elbow out on an angle, almost like a right angle. This is, again, it's like a sail. It's just pulling you up in the water and stopping you. So when you go to equalise, if you've got your head tucked in nice, you can just move just your hand, keep your elbow tucked into your side. This just ensures you minimise your profile, and it just makes it a far less effort all around. And early and often with equalising too, a lot of guys try and sort of wait till they're starting to feel pain. If you're doing a forced equalisation, your body's actually going into stress, and it's going to be consuming more oxygen as well. So you're better off early and often.
So I'll just recap on those points for streamlining. So it's head tucked in, elbows in, finning nice and narrow inside the profile of the body.
Yeah, if you're bending your knees, chances are, I mean, I know Turbo covered it briefly, but you've probably got the wrong foot pockets or the wrong blade stiffness. So you need to make sure you've got fitted out with the right gear, because this will help make sure you've got a good finning technique, because you can start off with the wrong technique and then you try and change it later on. It's a lot harder exercise. So get started right with your finning technique. A good freediving instructor will work on that, even in a Stage A course with you.
Okay, tip number 5, gun tuck. So this carries straight on from streamlining. I mean, unlike competitive freedivers, we've got guns. So basically with that gun, you want to get that nice and close into the body. Once again, it just goes along the same lines of having your elbows out, get it nice and close to your body, tucked up in front of your chest is where I like to have it, and with the gun going past my head. So if on a deeper dive, that's what I'll be doing. It's a lot better than holding the gun out to right angles to your body in one hand. So I like to have the gun probably 2/3 of the way up, and nice and close in my body. That's a pretty simple one.
Cool. Tip number 6. We're finally at the bottom now. Everything else has been before you've even got to the bottom, and it's funny, but these are the improvements you make before to get longer time on the bottom. So once you are on the bottom, if you research the hunting technique aspetos, you'll learn a lot about how they maneuver around on the bottom using their smaller muscle groups, rather than having to use your legs or your arms to try and orient yourself. And they'll pull themselves along the bottom using just their hand. And if you've got your buoyancy right, this is pretty easy. Another big thing is, try not to turn your head all the time or so much. Use your eyes to do the work, and just move your head slowly, and you'll spook less fish, save more energy. It's a no-brainer. It is hard, but I know, when guys first get a GoPro and it's mounted on their head, they realise how much they move their head. And there's a lot to see down there, so it's completely understandable, but you've just got to sort of get some self-control with it. So that's pretty much that. We haven't talked about it at length, but some of the more high-performance freediving guys we've talked to do mindfulness and meditation techniques. If you get right into freediving, they get guys into yoga. It's just like another level of relaxation and focus, and obviously that's going to help you extend your bottom time as well.
Yeah, I'm not too into it. I just like to go spearfishing, but the one thing that I did learn, I did a Apnea Australia course, but the one thing I did learn was on the surface, relaxing the body, starting at the toes and working up through all the muscles and joints and relaxing every joint and muscle as you go up the body, and I find that really good. Like if I'm practicing statics in the pool or whatever at the club, that's exactly what I'm doing to loosen up the body, and I find that helps a lot.
Yeah, man. All right, and we've got some next steps. Like if you are interested in improving your breath hold, or if you're a guy that's just starting out, there's a couple of online courses where you can get a 20% discount by using our code. Now, the courses are available at howtofreedive.com. There are 2 courses available. One is the 10 meter or 30 feet freediver, which is just a real basic sort of course. Teaches a lot of the fundamentals, like we've talked about, streamlining and equalizing. Goes into a lot more depth though. Pete delivers video training. It's a guided course, walks you through it, gives you all the fundamentals you need to know to get yourself down to 10 meters. Yep. And if you do this course, it's great for just finding out whether or not spearfishing's for you, because once you get to 10 meters, then you really know whether or not spearfishing is a sport for you. And the other course, I'll let Turbo talk about it.
The other one's the 5-minute freediver, and that's basically it's a 1 month training program, dry training program, so you can do it safely at home without training partners, which is really handy for anyone that's starting out, or anyone that just hasn't got training partners on hand all the time, or a pool. So it's 1 month, it's guided training. It runs you through O2 tables, CO2 tables, the fundamentals when training for apnea and freediving, which is just what you need for spearfishing basically. And it's got all the spreadsheets and tables to put in your progress and all that kind of stuff. And the aim is to get up to a 5-minute static breath hold in a month's time. It's really good. Basically, you get that sort of CO2 taste in the mouth, and you really pushes you, and it actually makes your diving a lot more comfortable.
I remember last year when you first did it, you were doing it for the Cato Reef trip, which is when we reached out to Pete, but you got some big results out of it then.
Yeah, no, what was really handy for was shooting like emperor species. So like holding static breath holds on the bottom and dusting up sand and grinding up stuff, and just trying to get things like big eye sea bream and emperor species in closer, because it's a real weighting game. You sort of weight them out.
Yeah.
And
jobfish can be like that too if you're not using burley. Yeah.
So it was that was really, really good. I'm glad I did it, and it was a definite advantage.
Yep. So check out Pete's courses at howtofreedive.com. You can just try the courses for free. They're called tasters, I think.
Free taster.
So basically, like, you get the first couple of days of the training course, and you'll get an idea whether or not you like it. And if you do decide to purchase it, pump in the code NOOBSPEARO, save 20%. Pretty 20%. Easy.
Thanks, Pete Ryder.
Yeah, another thing guys can do if they are starting out, we thoroughly recommend doing a Stage A freediving course, or even better, one of the specialist spearfishing workshops that several instructors have developed. But these things are just designed to give you all the basics. And one of the biggest things is learning how to conduct a rescue on your mates if they black out. But you learn heaps of stuff. Yeah. Like a good freediving instructor will have your finning technique banging. You will learn the basics of streamlining and getting your buoyancy right and all these sorts of things. Stage A freediving course cannot go past it. So
absolutely, basic physiology, the whole lot. It's excellent.
Yep, and you practice the static and duck diving and all this sort of stuff as well. It's bloody good idea. Look, so we've delivered you up 6 tips to get to improve your bottom time. Like we said in the start, they might not be the secret sauce like a big breathing technique, but they're just like little conscious things that you can work on to improve your bottom time, which will eventually happen.
Excellent. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to today's 6 tips to increase your bottom time. Hope you got a lot out of it and you can apply some of those practically to your own diving. Just one final word of advice: don't try and do them all at once. Just pick one and really hone in on it and dial that in and get it done. We've also got that Easter sale coming up for Adreno, so head over to spearfishing.com.au from the 25th of March. Save some dough on gear, pump in the code NOOBSPEARO to save even more, and it's a no-brainer. So spearfishing.com.au for that. Look, we're heading over to South Africa for the next episode to talk with Noel Cameron. He owns a charter operation over there, and he's taking people out line fishing and spearfishing all the time. He's got some really insights into diving and thermoclines. We do a deep dive for his Veterans Vault into one particular species. It's very interesting. He's got a couple of interesting boat stories about losing some boats, and we have a good chuckle with him. So tune in next week. Thanks for leaving us those reviews, guys. I know it's a pain in the ass to get on there and leave those reviews. The process is pretty hard, so really appreciate you leaving us reviews. Thanks. Catch ya. Guys, head on over to penetratorfins.com. They are proud sponsors of today's NOOBSPEARO podcast. We're happy to announce a code you can use to save yourself $20 on any blade purchase. That's right, save $20, pump in the code NOOBSPEARO at checkout, penetratorfins.com. Save yourself some dough on some fins and get yourself some of the best fins going with $25 flat rate international shipping and a full international warranty. Larry's the man. Thanks, Penetrator.
Thank you for joining us on today's show. As always, we've had a blast recording it. And as we all know, every good Spearo needs a good supplier of good equipment. Now, you can find that good equipment at spearfishing.com.au. That's right, our show sponsor, Adreno. Their online store can be found at spearfishing.com.au. And if you use the code NOOBSPEARO at checkout, you'll save yourself $20 on all purchases over $200. So get online and check those guys out. Now, if you'd like to connect with us further, do yourself a favour and get on our email newsletter. That is full of the happenings and goings on around NOOBSPEARO, and it's got some great deals in there for you as well. Now, if you are a hardcore fan, or just a fan, or you need a new shirt, go to noobspearo.com and check out our range of shirts. We've got some great stuff there, from sizes from Turbo to Shrek.
Turbo to Shrek.
Yep, and everything in between. And Shrek, what can they do if they want to become truly better at spearfishing?
Go to Amazon.com, get your hands on our ebook, 99 Tips to Get Better at Spearfishing. It's actionable information drawn from over 10 years spearfishing experience between Turbo and I, and some of the best information we've learned from more than 40 interviews from spearfishing experts around the world. Also, guys, just quickly, leave us a review wherever you listen to the podcast. It helps other people find the show. Thanks for listening today. Look forward to getting in your ears again in another fortnight.
Thanks for listening, guys. We hope you get a couple of PBs this week.